Impressive figures once again, as you mentioned, given the fact that Italy's death toll has overtaken China's. Now, why is that happening? Well, as we know, the majority of the victim is over 65 years of age. But not only that, as we know, Italy's population is the second oldest after Japan. Also, experts are warning that the fight against the coronavirus outbreak, especially in the north of the country, has began when the spread of the virus was already going quite fast. Now, when it comes to the south of the country, we'll all remember that in the very first week, when more drastic measures were introduced, we've seen lots of people fleeing the north of the country, students, professionals who lived there trying to reach their families in the south. And that's when local governors in the south raised the alarm, saying that there's the potential risk of the virus spreading in the south as well, in that part of the country. Now, figures are increasing indeed, but there is not a new epicenter of the outbreak there. But we know that authorities are monitoring that very closely, as we know the public health system in the south is weaker than the one in Lombardy, Rosie.
As Italy becomes now the country worst affected by the pandemic, how are people in Italy, in Rome, that you've been speaking to, how are they feeling? Because the lockdown's been extended further, and at this point we don't quite know when that's going to end.
Indeed, Rosie, yes, the government is planning to extend the quarantine period, and the people I've been speaking to, the people I know, do respect these measures. And it's interesting because according to a recent poll, over 90% of Italians are in favor of these measures, and over 70% of Italians do support Prime Minister Conte's leadership. It has never been that high. But for sure, there will be new measures, more drastic ones, because figures are still increasing, and we'll see how Italians will cope with that in the coming days. As you mentioned, they will remain under lockdown for a few more weeks, Rosie.